Let me guess, you're training week after week, always the same way, and you're wondering why you're not improving. If you want to peak at the right time, avoid burnout, and unlock your full potential, then there's something you absolutely need to know about. Fellow runner, welcome to the Running Bible Intermediate Edition, a series for all the runners who've mastered the basics and are now hungry for more. Let's talk about the secret weapon that every runner needs to know about. Training periodization. Whether you're chasing a PR or trying to run your first marathon, by the end of this video, I promise you're gonna know more clearly how to structure your training in order to peak at the right moment and keep injuries at bay. At its core, periodization in the framework of a training means structuring your training into distinct phases, each with a clear purpose. So instead of training at the same intensity and focus all the time, you cycle through different types of work to make your body able to adapt in the smartest way possible. Training periodization is awesome because it prevents us from overtraining. By alternating phases of stress and recovery, we will of course avoid to blindly push our limits and then get injured. Secondly, training periodization maximizes our peak performance because it ensures that we are exactly on top when we need to be on top. For race day, major goals, or even a key workout in your training block. And ultimately, it builds sustainable progress because it's only by training methodically with a strategy on the long term that we are able to avoid, for example, hitting plateaus or getting sidelined. To ace training periodization, we need to look at three main cycles: macro, meso, and micro. Let's have a look at each one of them. So let's start very broad now with the macro cycles. Macro cycles are your full season or long-term training plans, typically lasting from 3 to 12 months depending on your goals. This is, simply put, the zoomed out version of your running journey. A roadmap from where you are now and where you want to be. For example, it's January right now and I'm saying I'm running a marathon in November. So I have all the time to structure my training according to that. And of course, this broader perspective ensures you will have a logical, methodical training, avoiding random, chaotic runs without purpose and resulting ultimately in some injuries. But also, let's not underestimate the mental impact of having a long-term vision. I don't know exactly where you are right now in your running journey, but for me, it really helps me having this long-term perspective. When I know that I have a goal on site, but I still have time to prepare for that, I also put a lot of pressure off because I know how I'm gonna prepare and structure my training by then. Alright, fellow runners, so we had a look at the broadest perspective. Now it's time to zoom a little bit in with mesocycles. So inside your macro cycle, you'll divide your training into mesocycles, which last typically from 4 to 8 weeks each. Each mesocycle will have a specific focus and purpose, and this is where the real magic of specialization happens. They allow you to dedicate time to specific objectives, for example, building aerobic capacity, strength, or sharpening your speed. And also, I don't know about you, but for me, breaking training into specific chunks really helps you making and feeling your training much more manageable. Now hear me out because it gets a bit more nerdy. There are even some typical mesocycle examples like base phase, strength phase, speed phase, and race-specific phase. Let's see each one briefly. So the basic phase is when you develop your aerobic endurance with lots of easy mileage. So classic, easy, long runs. This is typical when you're preparing, for example, for a marathon or even an ultra marathon. Another phase is the strength one, when you wanna get stronger in your whole body. So you start doing functional strength for runners, but also running drills, plyometrics, or we can also have a specific speed phase where we want to improve our pace. So we do a lot of intervals, especially short ones, or we fine-tune our running form with running drills, plyometrics, and all that fun stuff. And then there's a race-specific phase where we want to mimic the race day conditions and get on our top performance for our big day. So all these phases don't just happen randomly. We need to plan them, to be smart about it. And the more specific and well combined with each other, the better. Let's now further zoom in the most specific training periodization we can do, which is in microcycles. Microcycles are like your weekly blueprint. They are the smallest units, usually covering a single week of training. And that's where planning gets very specific, because we will have a look at which exact workouts to do day by day, when to rest and recover, how to balance different types of workouts. So let's see the benefits of thinking in microcycles now. First of all, we're gonna have a clear weekly training structure, not just ensuring that we are keeping training consistently, but also taking a lot of stress from organization and time management off. But also, as I always say to my athletes, training plans are not written in stone. You can always readapt them according to how you feel on that specific week, from higher to lower load, depending indeed on how you feel. So some weeks will be with higher mileage, a lot of speed work, while other ones, thankfully, also with some deload to promote recovery. If you're unsure on how to structure your weekly training, I made a specific video on the topic, so feel free to have a look at it. So, fellow runners, I think by now it's crystal clear that training periodization is the secret weapon that can turn random training into purposeful training. So if you're ready to train smarter and feel the difference that periodization can make, start planning your next cycle today. Feel your run and see you in the next video!